ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः।
Dear friends, we are back to study the Bhagavad Gita, the chapter 3, nomenclatured as, titled as the chapter on Karma Yoga. And we have studied in great detail, relentlessly being repetitive, maybe boring to some of you, but it is essential to instill in ourselves in a deep manner the attitude with which a Nishkama Karma Yogi should lead his life as a means to realization. It is not a hobby. It is an essential, indispensable method by means of which you can reach that goal. This is how the study should be taken, not just getting a lot of information, keep it in your brain, and behave like a very informed information counter clerk. No. Those informations are meant to transform your personality, your character. That is why it has to be so repetitive so that it is ingrained in our thinking. Now we have completed the study and the last two shlokas remain. Apart from everything else, from the point of view of continuity of the thoughts, Gita has a wonderful method. Each shloka answers to the question raised in the previous. While answering, it leaves itself a little open to further questioning. So a shloka is answer to the previous questioning and also an introduction to the next thought. Prashnatmak Shabda. That is, it answers to your question, but it is open to raise a question again. So the 42nd and 43rd shloka, the two which are now to complete the study, they are, from one point of view, confirming what has been taught, concluding what has been mentioned, and at the same time suggesting what is round the corner, the introduction to the 4th chapter. This is how it is. Now, let us go back to this study. We know it is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Sri Krishna has mentioned in the 2nd chapter that Yogaha Karmashu Kaushalam. Never forget this half a verse. What is yoga? According to Sri Krishna's definition, it is a kushalata. Kushalata means dexterity, trick of the trade, a particular approach with which it has to be done, whereby all the bad effects which come along with karma does not have a hold on you, whereas this karma, which is by nature creates bondage, will create a path to liberation. Tat hi kaushalam. He's defining the word yoga karmashu kaushalam. Tat hi kaushalam. That is the kushalata, kaushala, dexterity, the trick of the trade, the technique, the procedure, the attitude. Yani, holding on to that technique, attitude, you will get rid of the effects of karma which is binding you down to the expectations of your hard work, results of your activity. That is the nature of karma. And if you look at ourselves, we see, yes, whatever I am doing in this world, I am motivated with a particular achievement of a result. I am motivated. These classes that I take, let me be very honest with you, I am motivated that you do understand. And if after the talk, someone comes and tells me, oh, Swamiji, it was out of the world, it was wonderful, and I, because of my expectation, is fulfilled by your admiration and your appreciation, I hit cloud 9. I'm happy. And another one comes and tells me, Swamiji, you tried your best, but somehow or other it did not register. And I fall flat thud in mud, with a thud in the mud. I am depressed, I am disheartened, I am absolutely out of joint. Why? My desire is not fulfilled. That is how karma, as it is performed today, keeps you swinging like a pendulum between happiness and misery, pleasure and pain, ecstasy and agony. That is the nature of karma that we are doing every day. But what is kushalata? What is kaushalam? What is the dexterity? What is the trick of the trade? What is the attitude? The technique is you perform your duties of life in such a manner, with such an attitude, that instead of being bound down between the swinging pendulum of pleasure and pain, you free yourself and you are on the onward journey to manifest the divinity already within yourself. How? By whitening up all the dirt that is covering a dirty mirror. And the true reflective, the mirror, automatically, spontaneously blossoms forth. This is kushalata, this is karma yoga. He has described it, and then another word I would like to repeat before I go ahead, that is, it is translated as, or it is mentioned as, nishkama karma. Work done without any desire for result. Work done without any desire for result. Unmotivated activity. Immediately, any man with robust common sense or a psychiatrist will say it is a contradiction on terms. Unmotivated activity is not possible. Activity must presuppose a motivation. Nishkama we describe as unmotivated activity, activity without any desire. Sorry. Please don't go by the word-to-word translation. Try to understand the spirit. Nishkama means here, get rid of the expectation from the world. As because unmotivated activity is not possible, Karma Yoga teaches you to have a motivation. That motivation will not cause bondage, will be a means to realization of the divinity within yourself. Nishkama karma here means that motivation which is nothing else but being correct, being thorough, being perfect, being efficient, being excellent in performance of your duties, and you offer to God. That is what my motivation is. So unmotivated activity here should be understood, not motivated by worldly desires. But what is my motivation? To be a perfectionist, to be a person of correct attitude, correct performance, efficient performance, perfectionist, pursuer of excellence. I perform all the duties of my life, all that is offered to God. That is my motivation. That motivation is totally separated from the worldly motivations. So unmotivated activity is not possible. The Gita agrees to that. We agree to that. The philosophers agree to that. But now the motivation, the concept of motivation is lifted from expectation from this world and nothing expected from the divine out of sheer love. It's a one-way traffic I give to my God. One-way traffic. Tatra Ishvara api me tushyatu iti sangam tvakta. This is how Acharya Shankara defines Tathi Kaushalam Yani bandha sabhavanyapi karmani sabhavat nivartate. Karma is bandha sabhava swarup. As of today, expectation of my results of hard work. That is its nature. Karma yoga with kushalata, kaushalam, teaches you how to conform that performance of duty, how to convert, transform the conversion of duty, performance of your duty in such a manner that it leads to liberation, not bondage. That is the kushalata, that is the dexterity, that is the trick of the trade. And while you do so, be very careful. Don't expect any return from God Himself. Let Him do His business, I do mine. Tatra, when I am performing this karma yoga, perfection, excellence, correctness, thoroughness, efficiency, all put together. Each and every moment of my life is converted to a practitioner of these qualities, and I offer it to God. Mind you, don't carry that habit of expectation. Tatra, in that stage of your mind, Ishvara api me tushyatu. May God be happy with me. May God be blissful on me. iti sangam tvakta. Don't allow that idea of expecting a return from even God assail you. That is why it is said in English, work for work's sake. Work converted into a worship for the sake of worshipping my beloved God. And it's a one-way traffic. My heart is big. I keep on offering to my God every moment of my life. This has been described many a times as because we are going to conclude the chapter today. I am being repetitive again. Now, Arjuna has asked this question. Athakena prajuktoyam papam charati purusha anichannapi bharshneya balapiva niyojita. Well, it is understandable, Lord. Great Krishna, my beloved Lord God of the universe, what you say is understandable. But listen to me. I sincerely, honestly desire to follow the path of a karma yogi as you have explained to me. But in spite of my best wishes and efforts, some force gets hold of my neck, gets hold of me by my neck, and makes me do sinful things which is not to be done. But I do as a tool in the hand of some unseen force. What is that? Now, if you are a sincere, serious practitioner of Karma Yoga, you will find it yourself. That in spite of your alertness, deep within your being, in some nook and corner, the desire is waiting to jump onto you. And you forget. It's a fact of life. And it is more so for a person who is sincerely trying and practicing to be a karma yogi. If he is honest, sincere, and if he doesn't want to deceive himself and not being an hypocrite, he will admit, yes, sir, with my best of efforts, I make mistakes. And I don't want to, but somehow that unforeseen force makes me do so. That is how Arjuna asks. Sri Krishna says, yes, it's a fact of life. Don't lose your heart. I will tell you what is that force. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajaguna, samadbhava. Mahashano, mahapapna, vidhi enam iha bairinam. As simple as that. Kama, desire, from the grossest desire of the flesh to the subtlest desire of appreciation, adoration, admiration. Putraishana, Vittaishana, Jashaishana. Aishana is desire. 3 cardinal desires. To have a progeny, the biological necessity, because we are biological creatures, is a biological force. Putraishana. Vittaishana, wealth, power and pelf. And Jashaishana, admiration, appreciation, approbation, to be worshipped like God. These are the various aspects of desire. He says, Kama esha. And when that path of that desire is obstructed, you get annoyed, angry, and you lose your top off. Even people murder each other because the desire is not being fulfilled. They come from Rajoguna. That is that this living organism generates energy. That energy has three avenues to move out: Sattvic path, Rajasic path, Tamasic path. Sattva-guna, Rajaguna, Tamaguna. Rajaguna is a dynamism. I am bubbling with energy because of my youth, and I do not know how to divert it. And because of biophysical necessities, I am diverted towards desire, physical desires, lust and greed and etc. He says, these two are your worst enemies. They cannot be satisfied and they lead you to vice. You can't stop yourself. This is what happens to a human. And then Sri Krishna, continues to express the force of lust, the force of desire that is a real obstacle to a novice who wants to reach that spiritual goal. Good enough. Then he says, look, tasmat tam indriyani ado niyamya bhadaparshava papnanam prajahi henam jnana vijnana nashanam. Having described the various aspects of this desire, mostly bodily centered, physically centered lust, let us not mince matters. That is the strongest obstacle to grow beyond the body consciousness. The three eshanas, three desires: putraishana, vittaishana, jashaishana. Putraishana is a desire to procreate and leave a progeny behind so that I am not forgotten. Vittaishana is a desire of wealth, power and pelf and all that goes with wealth. I'm sorry. And the third is jashaishana, desire of reputation, admiration, approbation, appreciation. That is the most subtle. Others are easily removable, but that is very subtle. He says, now dears, for you, a novice, a person who tries to reach that goal, Tvam indriyani niyamya bharatarshava. Have a control. Have a control of it. What is this controlling? Not subjugation, but sublimation. I desire. A young man went to Sri Ramakrishna. The young man was very honest. He says, sir, I'm a young man and this lust and greed and etc. has a tremendous hold on me. How do I get rid of it? He says, it flows in a great force, is it? He says, yes, sir. Why don't you turn it around? Why don't you redirect it towards God? That all that desire is now directed towards achieving oneness with the divine. Let the desire remain. Sublimate it. Let the desire now turn around and be towards the desire, unstoppable desire to be one with God, as I have a desire to enjoy the worldly life, physical joys of life. Why don't you turn it around? Why don't you take a right turn or a left turn instead of banging straight? Niyamana here means not subjugation, but sublimation towards the divine. Now we come to the last two shlokas. As I told you, this shloka is a conclusion as well as an introduction to the next chapter, the fourth chapter. This is Karma Yoga, that is Karma Brahma Arpana Yoga. Karma Brahma Arpanam Yoga. Some authors say Brahmarpanam Yoga. Some authors say Karma Brahmarpanam Yoga. How Karma Yoga matures into Brahmarpanam Yoga. Now let us read the shloka. Indriyani paranahu. Indriyebhya param manaha. Manashastu para buddhi. Yo buddhe paratastu saha. He now grades. This is my gross body. It is gross, it is perceptible. But my sense organs are subtle. It is not easily, my hands are itching to do something wrong, I can bind my hands. But you can't bind your indriyas. They are more subtle, and because of their subtlety, they are more unmanageable. So they are above the body. Indriyani paran, they are above the body. Indriyebhya param manaha. And without the mind, the indriyas can't work. What is the psychological procedure which Patanjali has analyzed it perfect, which has been analyzed in the second chapter? It will be again analyzed on the 6th chapter, 9th chapter. What is this? The mind. Mind is a modulation of the chitta, the mind stuff. Let me say our personality, the whole. What happens? My eyes go out of the seat of the organ, goes out and finds you there. The object of vision is you, and all. And my mind, through that path that the indriyas create, it pours out and encompasses, covers the whole size, shape, color, all the capacities of indriyas, the mind takes over. And then it reflects back to your eyes. And then it stimulates your optic nerves. Those stimulated optic nerves carries those stimulation to that part of the brain which is well equipped to interpret those stimulations and convert those stimulations into another type of energy known as ideas and thought processes. And then the picture, when is absolutely clear in my mind, my memory helps me, and I say, oh, he's my friend sitting in front of me. Oh, he's my friend sitting in front of me. Without the mind, the indriyas cannot work, cannot bring back and give me a knowledge of what I am seeing. But that mind is more subtle than the indriyas. Without that mind, the indriyas are ineffective. Indriyani paranahu. They are better and more subtle than the gross body. Good enough. The mind is more subtle than the indriyas. Without the mind, The Indriyas do not generate any knowledge. I know my friend is sitting in front of me. I know. It is because of my mind, and mind says I see something, and my confirmative modulation, buddhi, says this is this. Mana is samshayatmika. I'm not sure. And my rationality, buddhi, tells me what I am seeing. Indriyani paran ahu, indriyebhya param manaha, manashastu para buddhi. And then there is somebody beyond. And that is the goal of our life, our true original nature, Satchid Ananda Swarup Atma. That is the ultimate object. And how do we reach? By knowing this is my body. These are my sense organs. These are my active organs. This is my personality, my chitta, my mind stuff. And when the indriyas move out, they make a passage for my mind to go out. And tadakara akarita chitta vritti udeti. It absolutely a replica in light and shade and color and etc. that I see. It goes to my eyes, the curtain, whatever you call it, and then it stimulates your optic nerves. All a play of energy. And that stimulation of the optic nerve reaches that part of the brain which has the capacity to convert those stimulations into another type of energy known as ideas and thoughts. And beyond that manovritti, I have buddhi, nishchayatmika, confirmative. Oh, I see my friend so and so sitting in front. That's the end of it. No doubt. Nishchayatmika buddhi. And who says, who gives me that awareness? I am knowing, I am experiencing. Who lightens it up? It is all a mechanical process. What is the substance behind? My true original nature, Satsarup, Chitsarup, Ananda Sarup, Atma. Of Satta and Chetana. Satta is existence and Chetana is awareness. I am constantly aware. I am. I am, that is why everything is. That is the luminosity, the effulgence, the jyoti. So he is telling you, buddhe paratastu sa, he. Call it or call it he, call it she, it's your choice. It is that eternal effulgence, eternal awareness, eternal consciousness, Satchit Ananda Swarup Atma. He is now diverting your mind, or I won't say divert, leading your mind to the next subject. What is Atman? What is Brahman? And how do we, after going through this karma yoga, after I have purified myself, cleaned up the mirror so that the reflection is total, a crystal clear pool with mosaic work at the bottom, it comes to the stop. You can count each mosaic. Your true original nature comes forth. You need the help of your Nishchayatmika Buddhi. This is how he concludes that don't say it is an end in itself. It's a means to an end. Karma Yoga is a means to an end. And then in the last shloka of the chapter, he again repeats that so that we give due importance to this problem of how to go beyond the bondage that we carry as our backpack, identifying ourselves with what we are not. This body, mind complex. But this body, this mind, this intellect will help you to go beyond it. This is the trick. You have to have your body, you have to have your mind, you have to have your buddhi. And with all that and the guidance that you get, you make it a useful vehicle to go beyond that and reach the goal. I give you by way of an example. It is the last stage of the rocket, which pushes you into the orbit, but it can't go there. It falls down. But you are in the orbit. You are aware of your true original nature. Now the concluding shloka. Evam buddhe param buddhya. With your rationality, which is rock solid, it doesn't hesitate, it doesn't become a victim of doubting. It is absolutely rock solid, at the same time crystal clear. This is my goal. Karma Yoga is a means to attain that goal. With this conviction, evam buddhi, with this conviction, with this rock solid, crystal clear rationality or intellectual conviction, param buddha, the sublime which is beyond, the immutable, samsabhya atmana. You reach that by managing your own self. Samstabhya means you hold it in a proper place for as long as it required till the truth is revealed. Atmana, your effort, Atmana is that goal. With your rock solid, crystal clear, intellectual conviction, which happens to be your goal, you reach that. How? By holding on your whole capacity onto that object and continue to hold on till it reveals itself to you. Samstabhya. Don't deviate till it reveals itself to you. Jahi Shatru Mahabaho Kama Rupam Durasadam. Jahi Shatru. Hey Mahabaho, hey mighty. The Arjuna's other name was he was a man of great might. So he's inspiring him. You are a mighty person. Take this challenge and conquer it. Let that be the proof of your might. That's how he's inspiring him. Jahi Shatru Mahabaho. Hey Mahabaho, Jahi, destroy that forever. Kama Rupam durasadam, which is known as lust and greed and all that you can say desire. Durasadam, excuse me, the best and the nearest colloquial English is, it is a slippery customer. Asadam means you don't know where it is hiding. It's a slippery customer. Don't take it lightly. It has enough of nook and corner in your personality where it hides itself, and at a point of your weakness, it takes over. So he says, Jahi, no suppression. Kill it and throw it out of your system. Hey Mahabaho, Kama Rupam, Durasadam. It is a very, very slippery customer. You don't know where to hold it, how to hold it. It is always slipping away and finding a nook and corner here and there, and it takes over you at its own will. That is how he completes. Now here, Shankara reminds you, when does a man or a woman, a lady, when do they achieve that goal? When they are totally rid of this concept of lust and its hydra-headed form. There's absolutely a slippery customer with hydra-headed form. You cut off this head, another 100 heads grow elsewhere. When does it happen? Para drishtva nivartate niraharasya dehina rashopi asya param drishtva nivartate, in the second chapter. When does it happen? He says, look, you start with suppression. You start with sublimation. You start with subjugation and suppression. And slowly, more you go towards God, the more you are filling your personality with the awareness of the presence of the divine in your life. That's what you are doing. That is what is known as spiritual progress. That I am totally, slowly following the process of evolution, not like Hanuman Swami jumping from the Indian soil into the heart of Sri Lanka. No, it is a very, very slow, progressive method. A method of evolution. What is happening when you are evolving? Your personality, your chitta, your mind stuff, the modulation is known as vritti and buddhi and ahankara. Mano, vritti, chitta and ahankara. Anyway, mano, buddhi, chitta and ahankara. These are the four modulations of your chitta. So what happens, the more you are saturated with the awareness of presence of God within yourself, the more you are likely to be aware of presence of God outside you. How come? Think of that situation when you are in a tearing rage, and I am your very good friend. I find that if your anger is not controlled, you might have a stroke. So I take upon myself to go to you and to comfort you. Please quieten down. There's nothing to be so worried, angry about. It so happens. And you are so much in rage that you have forgotten the deep, abiding friendship that we have. You get hold of my wrist, throw away from your body and say, go to hell. I don't need you. What does it mean? You are so saturated with anger that all your virtues have disappeared at that time. There's no space in you anymore. You are saturated with anger. Similarly, people get saturated with lust and desire. Why don't you desire to be one with God and saturate yourself with the awareness of the presence of God within you? And more you see God within you, you will see Him all around you. Because you are saturated with God, you are saturated with anger, now you are saturated with the awarenesses of presence of God. As you are fully saturated, you see God everywhere. Rashopi asya param drishtva nivartate. That means till you have achieved that goal, don't take it easy. Be on your guard all the time till you have reached that goal. That is why he says, Rashavarjam niraharasya dehina. Rashavarjam rashopi asya param drishtva. Rasha means the subtle, lingering hankering for that joy. Subtle, lingering hankering for that joy. That will totally disappear when you have found out the unity with your Maker. So, dear, this is how we complete our third chapter in its detailed study as a revision. I would request you, I will absent myself for 2 Sundays, and my sincere request to you, if you are following it from the beginning, in 2 Sundays' time, that is in a fortnight's time, please repeat hearing from the first lesson to today's lesson, and be prepared for the 4th. In the 4th chapter, there are many things which I may skip. You can see in the previous study. But the most important aspect of the 4th chapter is the concept of avatara. What is this concept of God being born as a human? Is it a fiction? Is it a figment of my brain? Or is it a fact of life? And if it is a fact of life, what is the how and why of this advent? Why is it necessary and how it happens? And this being one of the pillars of Bhakti Shastra, Avatara is one of the pillars of Bhakti Shastra and duly sanctified by history. You have not forgotten Rama. You have not forgotten Krishna. You have not forgotten Buddha. You have not forgotten Moses, Abraham. You have not forgotten Christ. You cannot forget Shankara Ramanuja. Latest was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before the advent of Sri Ramakrishna. They are facts of history. You can't forget them. And think of their contribution to human society and the progress of morality in human society. You can't deny their indelible contribution and impression on human consciousness. What type of people are they? They appear to be human, but they are in their behavior pattern, in the way of their life, according to ages that they are born. They come to set an example for the wayward children of the divine. That is the introduction of the 4th chapter. I may not study the 4th chapter, dears, for you, but I would very much like to discuss with you the concept of Avatarvada, that philosophy which has created the concept of God born as a human for the welfare of his children and the world that he's created for his children, so that the children can find their way back to him. But we children forget him and we are wayward. He comes to rehabilitate the lost value of dharma, that which I hold dearly, to prevent a degradation of my personality, which helps me to manifest the divinity already in me. This is the essence of the 4th chapter. So there will be no Sunday classes for the next 2 Sundays. And I will request you not to while away your time. Please make use of this fortnight to revise and revise and re-revise the 3rd chapter, because this is the chapter for the modern man. Sri Ramakrishna said so, Swami Vivekananda preached so. Thank you, dears. Thank you. Thank you ever so much.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.